right, troops, how are you? Welcome to the Action Elite. My name is Owen, and tonight we're going to be looking back at the 1981 King Arthur classic Excalibur. So you may know that we were supposed to do this last week, but J-Man couldn't make it for various reasons, and I was still really jet lagged after being on vacation. I basically could not function last week at all. In fact, I don't even remember last week. So we punted it to tonight. So for those of you who show up, thank you. And I will bring everybody in. So first up, J-Man. Oh, sorry, J-Man.
Yes, the official way. You gotta say it.
Yeah, that's it properly. What the hell? And we have a newcomer to the stream, and it says Thrash Pondo Pawns. How are you, sir?
Hey, cats and kittens. I'm doing just fine. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, anytime. And you guys can check out his channel as well. I'll put a link afterwards on the post, and like and subscribe to him, and J-Man, of course. And of course, let's not forget John Jerba.
Hello.
Alrighty, so
the brain damaged person of the group. Yeah.
That's the spirit soldier. So we're going to talk about Excalibur tonight, and I think we're all probably going to have very similar opinions on the film. So, but I'm going to put it over to J-Man, who is going to just give the usual rundown of space and what it is, because Thrash Bondo is new to all this craziness. So over to you, Jay.
Okay, so I developed this rating system. It's called SPACE, SPACE. Each of those letters stands for a category. So we got story, pacing, artistry, characters, and enjoyment. Each category gives you a score between 0 and 2. 0 is bad, 2 is amazing. So if you give a movie 1 on every category, that gives you like a 5 out of 10 movie. So most movies should give you around a 5 out of 10, 4 out of 10, 6 out of 10. That's sort of your average movie. Because sometimes when people say 5 out of 10, it sounds like they're trashing the movie, but 5 out of 10 is literally what it means. It's just an okay movie. You can watch it. You might watch it once and never watch it again. And that's that. If you get into the 6, 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s, that's where you're getting into the really special movies. And we're always rating the movie against itself. So there's something called the promise, which is there's a promise that comes with every movie. So if you're looking at Die Hard, the promise is that it's an action film with Bruce Willis. There's going to be a lot of cool, funny one-liners, and that's what we're rating it against. We're not rating Die Hard versus Lawrence of Arabia. Both those movies are 10 out of 10, but some people might look down on a Die Hard and raise up a Lawrence of Arabia, but to me, that's not how I view things. They're both equally perfect for what they're trying to accomplish. So we're trying to look at how good is this Excalibur movie against itself. If someone says, I'm making an Excalibur movie, how well did they execute that promise of an Excalibur movie? That's sort of what we're going. And I can explain, story is obvious. Pacing is obvious. Artistry would be music, costumes, like the look of the movie, cinematography, that kind of thing, visual effects if applicable. Characters, that's obvious. Did you like the good guys? Did you hate the bad guys, or whatever? Enjoyment is sort of an intangible category, because sometimes you might say, the story was garbage, but I really like this movie. And that's where you can heighten the score by giving it higher in enjoyment. Maybe give it a 2 out of 2, saying, yeah, it's a cheeseball movie. It's like Troll 2. Like, that movie's awful. The story's terrible, but I love Troll 2. So I'm good. You know what I mean? So that's where you get that, and you get a score out of 10, and that's it.
Okay, awesome. Well, if you want to start off then, Jay, and start off with the story.
Sure. Well, I'm giving this 2 out of 2. Like, this is like, there's not even a point in letting, you can let me talk, but there's not even really a point in letting me talk. This is like one of my top 20 favorite movies. I think the story is genius. I love that it starts with Uther Pendragon. Because we don't see that. It's mostly let's get into King Arthur. I like how it's just tells you exactly what you need to know about the story to get you going. And Gabriel Byrne's awesome too in his small bit. We'll get to the characters, but it's sort of all of the Arthurian things kind of meshed into one movie. Whereas I know that might be problematic for some people to follow the story, but I actually follow it it's very easy for me to follow. And I've watched it so many times. I love how everything comes together, and it just feels like there's a lot going on. After half an hour, you're kind of thinking, holy shit, a lot's happened in this movie. You're like, what? I mean, what the hell? This is crazy. Now I think movies tend to drag out, where you get these 3-hour films where people meander around and they think they're making this epic movie, but they're really not. This movie crams a lot more storyline into what is presented in the 2 hours or whatever. I don't know how long it is, but I like the
2
story.
hours
I think
20.
2 hours 20, right?
2 hours
So
20.
the Batman
Yeah.
was 3 hours, and it's the mystery, and the mystery is the Riddler's the killer. Like,
Yeah.
right? Versus this
It
has
took
so
6
much.
hours to do it. Yeah.
Right. So right, this movie now would have to be a 5-part miniseries or whatever, right? Or be like a 5-season show. Oh, but what are the motivations behind every single character that we see? It's like, I don't care. They're archetypes. I get it. Merlin's the good wizard. He's the wise man. He's given Arthur the points that he needs. Morgan Le Fay's a bitch. She's a villain. She's out to get Arthur, and she's looking good doing it too, by the way. But yeah, I like the story. I think it's 2 out of 2, man. I mean, I'm super biased though, so if anyone's gonna give it lower, I'm not gonna fight you on this movie because I have sort of a just like crazy love for it. So
Gotta say, I'm actually the same. I would give it 2.
awesome.
Because, well, it's King Arthur. I mean, it's one of the greatest stories ever told, and I love the character. And there are rumors that the Roundtable was actually in Edinburgh in Scotland. And I was like, well, okay, I'll take that. It's probably absolute bollocks, but I'm actually descended from it, in case you didn't know. But no, I would agree with that. It's well paced. I'm not going to go into characters. I keep wanting to go into characters, but I mustn't because that's under character. But yeah, it's great introduction to the world of King Arthur. So yeah, it's 2 for me. So I'm going to say as little as possible. I'm going to let you guys do the talking. So Thrash, over to you.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more as far as story goes. It's the Arthur legends. How it can go wrong? Arguably the greatest classics of Western civilization. And the primary source was, of course, the Morte Arthur, which was one of my favorites when I was a kid. I went through a phase, you can thank Mr. Tolkien, when I was in middle school, where I was obsessed with anything medieval. Factual or fictitious, I didn't care. I was obsessed with that time period. And that's how I saw Excalibur, and I just fell in love with it. And I love the fact that while it actually stayed really, really close to the source material, it deviated enough to make a good film. As you say, if they made it today, they would try to make it into an 18-part miniseries like Lame of Groans, where they had to go into every. And forgive me for saying that. I love the miniseries myself, actually, but still, last season. But anyway, they managed to keep it punchy all the way. I don't want to get into pacing, but they managed to adapt it into a feature film perfectly. And you said it best when you said there's a lot going on here. I mean, in 2 hours and 20 minutes, they fit about 4 hours worth of information, and it doesn't feel like a history lecture. Right. It feels like an action film. And you got to give Borman super kudos. He told an absolutely amazing story. And this film does have its critics, and it's a free country at the moment. But I gotta say, it's one of my favorites.
Okay, so just before we continue to John here, so one of your friends, Thrash here, Mystery Men and Monsters, has Thrash brought me here.
Hey!
And he says, new here. He says, sorry, I'm new here. What is this channel mainly about? Action movies in general, action movies from the 80s. It's action movies in general. When I started out the site initially 10 years ago, there's a website, theactionelite.com. I started that 10 years ago, and it was generally just to relive the classic action movies of old from like the 80s and 90s or whatever. But I eventually sort of covered all of the main ones, like all of the Arnold movies, Van Damme movies and such. So we would just sort of cover everything, and we cover modern action movies too. So I'm quite liberal with what I consider an action movie. I mean, people might be saying, is Excalibur an action movie, or is it a fantasy movie or whatever else? And I was like, well, it's kind of all of the above. It's fantasy, there's action, there's battle scenes, whatever else. So as far as I'm concerned, it's an action movie. So there you go. So if you like things just with lots of body count and violence, then you're in the right place, because so do we. So, all right, so sorry for that. John, continue.
Yeah. Again, I'm biased. Like, this is one of my fondest memories as a child. Like, this is when, of course, I didn't see it in the movie theater because I was younger. But my dad brought the first VHS player home, and he brought Aliens and Excalibur home. And the funny thing is, so I could watch them, he cut out all the bad parts. So for the longest
Sure.
time, I watched Excalibur without any nudity or graphic violence.
Oh!
Yeah. Well, I
Those are
was
the best
9.
things.
I was 9. But I'll tell you what,
Builds character.
the first time I saw it unedited, I was like, what the hell? I was like, oh.
God damn.
But yeah.
This is 10 out of 10 now.
But the funny part is, and John Boorman's such an awesome visionary director.
Yes.
Like this and the Emerald Forest, where he did the Jungle. I'm sorry, forgive me if I make a mistake. With Powers Booth, he just knows how to tell a story through vision, and he takes the Arthurian legend and he makes it his own. And like I don't consider this mainstream, like, because if a lot of people watch this movie, they're going to be like, "What the frick is going on?" Half of the time.
It's a cult movie.
It is, but I have and you can't go wrong with King Arthur, and you're going to laugh at me, but of course Excalibur is number 1. But after that, I love King Arthur with Clive Owen because it's such a different take on the movie. Or on the legend. I liked how they stripped it down. But going back to Excalibur, yeah. I knew of King Arthur before I saw Excalibur. So when I first saw, that's why my dad cut it, off the bad parts so I could watch it. And just the actor, like Nigel Terry, how awesome is he? The late great, I should say, Nigel Terry. But I thought it was 2 different people the first time because he looks so different playing the younger Arthur that when they mature him, they do such a fantastic job with him. And yeah, so you can't go wrong with it. It's a 2 out of 2. It funny is it that everything gets rolling because somebody's horny. Some guy's horny, and that's pretty much what sets everything in motion in this movie. He needs to have this woman, and there you go. We're off to the races, everybody. So, there you go. So yeah. Has the story been told a million times? Yes. Is it awesome? Yes. So you can't give it anything less than a 2 in my book.
No, I can't think of too many times it was told in live action like this. I mean, before that, because like 1981, there would have been.
Before, nowadays,
because you got the various King Arthur ones, like the one with Clive Owen, and then didn't Guy Ritchie do one as well? Which
and I've never seen that one to this day.
I think I watched. I think it was okay. But this is obviously better. But anyway, thank you, Mystery Men and Monsters, for subscribing. I will subscribe back later. So Jay, pacing.
Oh, I'm giving it a 2 out of 2. Again, like there's no whatever. You can see where this is going. I think that there's a lot going on. I think they give you just enough information so that you can comprehend what's happening and they move on to the next thing, because this is a time where really 2.5-hour movies, unless they're big epics, like there used to be the big, like Ben-Hur, Lawrence Arabia, these big, massive Seven Samurai, Gone with the Wind, where you had intermission and it was like an event picture and you'd go and you have a program and all this crap. They don't have that at this time. This is more like 2 hours and 20 minutes. Like that's starting to stretch it, right? Because mostly movies were 2 hours or less. So I'm sure he's just like, we got to, get this going here, but I want to tell you so many things. So I think it's beautifully paced where it's like Uther, you just get enough. You're like, okay, this guy's kind of a jerk. He's not really good, but you got the origin of why the sword is in the stone, which I think that was the first time I had ever seen that in any screen adaptation. For sure, the first time I saw it. I don't think I've seen it too many times after that either, but that's great. The way Arthur just quickly, it's like, yeah, here's Arthur. I come back for the baby. 9 months later, I'm taking the baby. He gets raised with Kay, right? Boom. It's like he pulls the sword out. Like all that stuff. It's like bang, 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 bang. Guinevere, yeah, bang. Okay, I'm gonna build the round table. Boom, here we go. Like everything. It's like a checkbox, and it's like, and he just goes through it all so fast. I mean, I could have watched a longer movie, but I think there's enough action or visuals or coolness that happens. So if you just start to think, nothing's going on, something neat will happen, or something magical will happen, or there'll be nudity, right? Or something will happen where you're like, all right, we're back in. So I think it's friggin' 2 out of 2, man. Like it's crazy. Like I love this movie. So
okay, Thrash, over to you.
I'm going to agree with you a lot today. I can tell. I'm going to be agreeing with you a lot. So, at the risk of being obsequious, I too give it 2 out of 2, and I'll tell you why. I watch a lot of action films, and I'm sure we all do. And
I have been known to watch them once or twice. Yes.
And I'm one of those people where I love to watch movies over and over and over
Yeah.
again, where most people would just get sick of them and never want to watch them again. I will watch them
Yeah.
at repetition. And one thing, if you watch a movie enough, you start to find the flaws in it. And for even the greatest action films, Apocalypse Now, to say, for example, there'll always be one or two scenes where you find yourself nodding off, or,
Yeah.
oh, this scene's coming up, I'll get a beer or go hit the
Right.
head. There's always that blind spot where you're like, did he give this to the Unit 2 director that day? Excalibur does not have that.
No.
The film, you are riveted from the beginning to the end. Even the parts of the story which aren't particularly fascinating manage to captivate you the way they're presented. To give a basis of comparison, I always talk about how my favorite comedy of all time is Young Frankenstein. And that's because there's never a part of the whole movie where the humor drops. It stays consistent all the way through. Excalibur is my sword and sorcery film of that template. So yes, again, 2 out of 2.
Fair enough. John?
So pacing, like, and again, pacing for me is like, does the movie ever lag? Does it drag? Am I bored? Am I looking at my phone? And no, I've seen Excalibur 50,000 times, and I've never once been like, oh wait, who just texted me? I was watching it last night, and I was like, yeah, and it's 2 hours and 20 minutes, but it doesn't feel like 2 hours and 20 minutes. And when it doesn't feel like the running time, like there's been movies that were 1 hour and 45 minutes. Like I just watched Last Day Alive with Gerard Butler. I'm like, is this freaking movie over yet? Because I was just like, this is like horseshit. But and I love Gerard Butler, by the way. But yeah,
Sorry, Jerry.
yeah. But without, I love you. I do. I really do. But yeah, you never feel the 2 hours and 20 minutes. Like J-Man said, there's always something happening. It's like there's something right around the corner. It's like, like, is it going to be nudity? I don't know. Is it going to be some guy's arm getting chopped off? I have no idea. Is it going to be Merlin doing something really freaking cool? I have no idea, but I'm gonna find out. But yeah, so yeah, you got to give it a 2 out of 2 because, like, for the serious moviegoer, your eyes are locked on the screen, and when it's like that, you can't give it any less. So I'm simple tonight. I'm like, yeah, here you go.
Yeah, whenever your movie has violence and nudity and sex, then there's not really much to complain about there. That's what the movie's for. So. And I now understand, or I always understood, why it's one of my dad's favorite movies. And it's him that introduced me to it. I was like, Daddy, what's he doing to her? Never mind, eat your popcorn. So, I'll go for 2. What the hell?
Oh, awesome!
Well, so did your dad let you see it unedited right away?
Oh yeah, my dad took us to see The Exorcist when we were 11.
Oh shit!
Yeah, Daddy, what you doing with that crucifix? Eat your popcorn.
Wow, yeah. Okay, all right.
Sorry, Dad, I just threw you under the bus there. Child services will be coming around later on,
right?
sir.
Oh my god. I begged my mom to see Jason Goes to Hell when it came out. I begged her. I got my hands and he's like, please, because it was rated. I was like, please take me. She's like, no, you're not supposed to see it. But I've seen all of the other ones. When did you see all the other ones?
When was you supposed to watch it?
Oh my god.
So artistry then. So Jay.
I'm giving it 2 out of 2.
Hey.
The soundtrack is bloody killer. I like the poster art. I like all the knights. Like every knight's armor looks wicked. Mordred, we'll get to characters. He's a piece of trash, but he looks awesome. He's like such a bastard. He looks wicked. Like everything looks awesome. I like the interpretation of Merlin. Like the costuming of Merlin. The Excalibur sword is wicked because it's like sort of like when you think of sword as just an abstract concept in your mind, that is what it is. Like, it's not like a curved sword. It's not like it's like, a rapier or whatever. It's not like a fencing sword. It's like you think sword and you're like, yeah, that's what a sword is. And it's perfect because it's just like a simple, perfect sword. And I like that design. I love the Lady of the Lake, the way her hand comes out, all of that. The music's great, the mystery, the fog, raising the dragon's breath. Anal Nathrak Uthpas Betha Delthiel Denve, that whole thing. Like they came up with this weird charm, everything looks awesome. Like King Arthur himself looks cool. Like when he's aged, as John said, it's like shit, is that the same guy? Like now, I mean, they do good makeup effects now for sure, but let's not take away the amazing makeup effects from back then. And when the arm got cut off, I was like, God damn. I mean, I just watched it last weekend and I'm like, oh shit, yeah, that's awesome. Like, shit, they really got that guy. And like, even some of the horses and stuff when they fall, like Conan's got that too. And the horses fall, you're like, whoa, they just killed horses for this movie. But like, and like the scope of the action when they're attacking, the castle and stuff, you're like, holy shit, they're knocking guys over. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, so look, like I like the poster, I like the music, I like the look of the movie, the like atmosphere, everything. I got there's no negatives for me on that.
Yeah, you see that to me, this is like 3 out of 2. The artistry side of it, because like it's that which is what really appeals to particularly my dad. My dad is a big fan of opera and classical music and Wagner, of course, provides a lot of music here. But I think this movie has the best use of Carmina Burana of like all time with like the Knights writing, and I'm like, that is just incredible. Love that. I love the surreal sort of visuals where it's almost like this dreamlike look to it, and there's that sort of green tint occasionally, things like that. And the scenes where they're where he's riding over the fog, which you mentioned a minute ago, I just love that. It's just pure fantasy. So it's easily a 2 for me as well. I'm definitely noticing a pattern here. So Thrash,
you might find this hard to believe, but I'm actually going to give it 2 out of 2.
What?
No way!
I know, right? There you go. And couldn't agree with you more. That scene, by the way, where the sword first lifts out of the water, and you notice it doesn't break the surface tension. Now that they actually. She pulled her hand down into the water very slowly, so the water just sort of closed in over it, and then showed it in reverse. That way, you didn't see the surface tension breaking. Very, very mystical.
Oh, that's cool, right?
That's artistry right there.
It really, really is, and I love the fact that you mentioned the green. Going back to call it Gaia, the Earth Mother, whatever you want. I mean, Merlin is a very sort of Earth-based wizard, and anytime there's something mystical, you see that green tint, and it's I wouldn't say it's subtle. It's pretty like in your face, but it works very, very nicely, I thought. Oh, and speaking of the knights and the mounted cavaliers, if you will, I actually on another post ages ago, I actually had a chat with a man. He actually was one of the writers in Excalibur, I guess. Borman scoured the UK looking for horseback riders that thought they could actually ride horses wearing armor. And they weren't made out of iron. It was made of just plain old aluminum, so it wasn't very heavy, but it was very cumbersome. Right. And I'm like, dude, this is cool. Squared, you were an Excalibur. And it goes, yeah, it was actually kind of cool. And it was very cumbersome riding around in the armor. But I thought with the effort they put in, they made it look seamless. And again, the special effects, the scene where the knights are all hanging from the tree and the blackbird pulls one of the eyes out. I became obsessed with that when I was younger. And to my knowledge, I think what they did was they just used a prop skull with maybe some, lamb fat or something over it and used a fisheye for that effect because the bird would go for a fisheye. That's the best I can come up with my novice expertise. But I just thought, not only was it visually stunning, I thought it was, well, I keep going back to the word artistic. Yeah. The film is a work of art and should be given kudos as such.
Lauded as such, yeah. All right, John.
Okay, so you got the opening, right, and the words are coming across the screen. And it's like dun dun, and it's like building, right, and then all of a sudden you see the hills and you see the horses and the knights come up, and it's almost like the horses are breathing fire. And I remember watching it for the first time as a kid. I was like, what the hell is this? This is like the most awesome thing, and the whole movie's just like that. And just like I said, you can't like Borman. Like this was 1980 when they were making the movie because it was released in 81. So just what they accomplished with stuff back then. And again, the whole movie could have been trash, but the iconic moment when Hope returns to the land, when he drinks from the chalice and they start playing the music and all the knights are riding and you just see the whole countryside that is the freaking best moment in cinematic history. It's like hope they only have like 20, but they're going into battle.
They're going.
King Arthur's back, everybody, and that's just such an epic moment. And that right there gives it a 2 out of 2 for me, because I remember I watched it last night, and I think I rewound that part like 5 times before I went on with the rest of the movie, because it's just so epic. And they played the music, and it's just like it makes you want to get on top of a horse and go into battle and
Yes.
start singing, you know. So yeah, it's like, can I give it a 5? I mean, can I go triple? 6 out of 2. So yeah, it's 2. It's 2. I can't say. What am I? I'm not going to sit here and talk for 5 more minutes. We all know it's like, so. Yeah, it's 2 out of 2.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Carl, go ahead.
Yeah, why not? There's no rush. Yeah. I mean, my favorite scene is arguably Arthur's knighthood scene.
Yeah.
And just like the characterization in that scene, which we'll get to in a second, but I think it's fantastic, and that's one of my favorite ever knighting scenes in a movie. So we're on to characters now.
Characters.
Okay, Jane.
2 out of 2, obviously. Well, we know like this is getting a 10 for me, right? So like, but the thing, spoilers. Look, every character is the friggin' best. That knighting thing is literally chokes me up.
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't get choked up on like sad things. Sad things don't actually bother me. I get choked up for like pumped up honorable things where it's like me yield, I know, a noble knight yield to a squire, and then he's like, he goes, you're right. It's like you must knight me. I was like, oh fuck, this is the best. And it's like they're like, Urians, take it. And he's like, he goes, I doubt you no more. It's like I was like, that is just the damn best. But Merlin, everything that Merlin says, you need to write down, and it's like applicable now. Like it's applicable right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and like who like Morgan Le Fay, Morgana, whatever. Every character is amazing. All of the casting is perfect. Even like bit parts like Liam Neeson's in there as Sir Gawain.
Yeah, that already gets out of 2 right there.
That's crazy. Imagine him going on the Green Knight mission or whatever. That would have been interesting to see him do that. But yeah, like every and like even with Percival, who all of a sudden Percival came in, and what the hell? This guy's like the best character. It's like 3rd act hero. Like it's like he comes in and it's like he goes oh boy, it's a long ride. It's like it's 2 weeks.
20 days.
Like 20 days where he's like the world's not that big, And then it's like he's like I'll knight you, and then he knights him right there to stand up for the queen. Like I don't know, every character is amazing. I just like he's the best Merlin, and there's not been a better Merlin.
Yeah.
Before that or since that, and I've seen all the other ones that I can kind of find. And yeah, this Merlin is clearly the best. Arthur's amazing. Lancelot too. He brings a lot of honor to it. It's like he's desperate to find a king to serve. It's like
Richard Gere though.
I didn't mind. I didn't mind the first. I know.
I like First Night.
I think that was okay, right? I think that was
Sean Connery one.
Yeah, so that was okay. But yeah, I mean, all the characters are great.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, yeah, Merlin kind of creeped me out when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Because he was sort of grumpy or whatever else, you were sort of like, wait, is this guy good or bad? You weren't quite sure what his motivations were throughout, and that sort of made him interesting. And I think he became my favorite character. But I also love Arthur as well. I love the accent. It's sort of not a very kingly accent. Like, oh, you're King Arthur, and then I'm going to go feed my sheep. It's just not a particularly kingly type accent, but yeah. And then you get Helen Mirren, who is like ridiculously attractive. So yeah. 2. I give it 2. No, I keep wanting to give it less just to be a dick, but I'm like, I don't know.
1.5.
That's the thing with this too, is that like, if you're being honest with yourself, just give it a 2. Like, it's like, again, you're comparing it to itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what, like, see, people always get nervous. It's like, oh, well, how could Excalibur be 10 out of 10, and then you give, I don't know, X movie. You give it a 9 out of 10 or something. Well, you're saying Excalibur is better than this, than this movie. It's like, no, I'm saying Excalibur is a better Excalibur movie than this movie is that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Die Hard 4 is not as good as a Die Hard 4 should have been versus what Excalibur was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right?
Actually, I'm going to change it to 1.5 just to be a dick. There you go.
Do you want to change to 1.5?
Yeah, change it to 1.5. Literally, I'm doing it just to be a dick.
Yeah, okay.
Just so it's not all the way around. So yeah, just because Merlin was creepy as a kid and gave me nightmares, so there we go.
It was creepy.
So Thrash,
I'm going to stick with 2 out of 2. And just, I got to tell you, it seemed like everyone was at their best, from the most main character with the most screen time to people who just had walk-ons. You mentioned Liam Neeson. Patrick Stewart as Leon DeGrance was amazing as well. There was a bit of nepotism in there, of course. The very attractive young Igraine, by the way, who when I first saw the movie was a sexy older woman. Now I'm a dirty old man for checking her out. But that, you do know that was John Borman's daughter, right?
Yeah, he had 3 daughters in it, actually. Yeah.
Wow.
3 children he actually had 3 daughters in it.
I know it was 3 children. I thought it was 3 daughters. I could be wrong. I mean,
because the young Mordred is his son, and there's another. Yeah, and I believe he had 2 sons and 1 daughter in it. It could be 2 daughters and 1 son.
I think the young Morgana was a daughter of his too in the beginning, I believe.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, that's
what
it is.
The mother and the father of the baby now.
And even she did a good job.
Yeah.
But to direct a young lady to do a love scene with 2 different men in full body armor, you gotta give him kudos. He's either very professional or a weirdo. Either way, it was a great scene. And you were so right about Merlin. Every line out of the man's mouth was genius. In fact, I have left strict instructions at my funeral. At least one person has to say, "Are you a dream, Thrash? A dream to some, a nightmare to others." It's just the whole way through. If I had one criticism, and it's not so much a criticism as an observation, if I do have one criticism, though, some scenes that didn't need to play over the top were played over the top. Like, there's that one scene with Gabriel Byrne in the beginning. "Have you seen Merlin?" And his lieutenant goes, "I haven't." And I'm like, why is everyone yelling? He's right there. What are you screaming at the guy for? But again, it's a melodrama. They're playing it up for a bust, and you kind of give it to them. Hell, it works.
Fair enough. John?
So I'm beating a dead horse at this point. So it's 2 out of 2. I mean, I don't know what else I could say. I mean, you guys have said it all. So and I was actually going to say that about because like I was watching it the other day, and I don't know if it's about disorder, but like loudly, like everybody's shouting. Like at the beginning, he's like, "Are you mad? The alliance!" I'm like, "Why are you shouting?" He's literally 2 inches sitting next to me. It's like he's right there. But yeah, the whole So if I had a criticism, I kind of snicker sometimes because everybody just seems like they're all hyped up on like drugs or something. But in terms of characters, I mean, they're all iconic characters. They're legendary characters. Like I said, Nigel Terry is probably my favorite. Like I said, he just nails it. Nicholas Clay as Lancelot, who I didn't even realize had passed away. I'm so sorry. I looked it up and I'm like, oh my god. There's just some of those people that you don't know. It's like, I mean, like his character arc. He's looking for a home. He's looking to serve his king, but then he does the big bad, But then at the end, he's kind of like when the land is crumbling, he's like crazed, and he's got the hair and the facial hair and everything. But at the end, it's like it's Lancelot, and he comes back this, and Helen Mirren, like you see her now, it's like back. Not that she's not an attractive older woman,
she's still
but
hot,
but it's like she's almost like I said, she's not she's unrecognizable almost to me, like somebody different because it's been so long. There's not one bad apple in the bunch. Like everybody brought their A game. Nobody fumbles the ball, and you got Brian Mills and Jean-Luc Picard in it too, just bringing up the rear and cameos. So it's like, how can you go wrong with it? But Nigel Terry, he even growing up, I was floored by his performance as Arthur, and like I said, going from the squire to the king, and I just love the scene where he's just like, "I need a sword." He's like, "Hey, all right."
I love it.
Yeah, and I love how he's like, "Hey, did you pull the sword?" He's like, "Yes." no. I just love it. It's like, yeah, I did it, Arthur did. But no, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I just love that scene, you know. And then even when he pulls it out, everybody's bitching and yelling, like, oh, he can't be the king, you know. And I love that part, too. But, yeah, so in terms of characters, it's a 1.75 for me. No,
you can't do 1.75.
I can't 1.75. Oh,
you got to do 2. Go 2 or 1.5.
1.5.
No, I'm not going to do 1.5. I could go 1.5 for the yelling, but no, I'm going to go 2. Yeah, I'm going to go 2.
That's why I'm doing 1.5 is for some of the overacting. Yeah.
Oh my God!
I'll be
the alliance, the
be,
stream.
Oh, that's the other thing. That was so funny. Like they make that alliance at the beginning, and then it's broken. Like Merlin says, it's like it's broken
at dinner. At the celebration dinner, they break the alliance.
And can I just tell, if you want another man's wife, don't shout it across the room. So like the guy
to his face, right to his, so he's watching you.
Right? Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, I'm not gonna go to 1.
Well, they didn't have internet back then. He could have just it's like they have to do it the old-fashioned way.
You can just leave a comment and run off.
But I actually didn't know Guinevere, Sherry Lungi. I didn't even know her. How many times have I seen this movie? I didn't even know what her real name was. I feel so bad, but it's like it's just one of those things, you know.
I've seen her in a couple of things. I think she was in a few British things. I always remember she's
okay.
Familiar face.
I think unless I've seen her and I didn't realize I was seeing her, I think the only thing I see. But yeah, everybody brings their... Go ahead.
Oh. They were all in Red Dwarf for some reason. When I was checking the IMDb, it was amazing how many of them did episodes of Red Dwarf. I'm like, was John Borman a co-producer or something?
Yeah.
And like any British person's been in Doctor Who, so like they've all been in Doctor Who at some point too, right? So it's like.
So there were just some commentaries that I remember watching this a billion years ago, but I don't remember much about it other than the visuals. Just because you like it so much, I'll give it another watch.
Yes.
Now, we've hyped it up so much, he's going to hate it and comment like, "You guys suck. Why did you say that?" Like, this movie is the worst movie I've ever seen.
We defend our answers.
That's the thing, yeah. Bob peeked at the poster. He was responsible for some of the greatest posters in Hollywood. Yeah, I was thinking actually I'd love to get the poster. That'd be a cool one to be framed. In the front room, we have a framed poster for The Black Hole. It's one of Ed's favorite movies. It's one of our Secret Shame movies, which everyone dumps on because it's a kind of rip-off of Star Wars, but I love it.
Actually, if you watch
I love it.
Rob Eger's a film analysis. He did a Black Hole thing, and he's like, it's genius. So if you want points as to why I love that movie too. If you want, and I had some of the toys. If you love that movie, you can watch his thing. He'll give you some good points to argue.
Maximilian is like my favorite movie.
Oh, he's the god. He's the damn best. He's the damn best.
He was awesome.
Can I just say, like, I hate it. Like we're all talking about the poster and how great. I hate it when they do different releases and they use like crappier. Like, why is this picture on the cover? It's like, why just use the poster?
Like most posters today.
Use it. It's the best thing. Yeah. So yeah, I made sure when I bought it, I'm like, it needs that on my cover. I'm like, because there was one where it showed Nigel Terry holding the sword and like something in the back. Yeah, and I'm like,
just go online. There's a website, I can't remember what it is, like DVD cover or something, or Blu-ray cover, and they have custom ones, and then just print them out and literally slide it over top. I did that for Judge Dredd, the Stallone one. I did it for some of the Friday 13th movies where it's like I just want the better cover, the poster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So one of the comments we got on Facebook from Russell Whitfield giving you a shout out, and he's like, I'm in the USA, I would have watched live, but I'm on a plane at the time. He says, I love this movie, I expect top space across the board, or I'll write a strongly worded letter.
Yeah.
So don't worry, Russ, you're not going to be disappointed.
No.
Listen, the Action Elite, it's about celebrating the stuff. It's not about like being above it or distancing yourself, which is a thing that I see a lot of other sites do, and reviewers. They sort of review this saying, well, I know I'm above this, but I'm trying to give you some sort of review. Look, if you love it, just say you love it, because as soon as you're disingenuous, it's an automatic fail. Like if I see someone reviewing something and they're just talking through the points, and I know I came up with the space thing, but that's for me to show you how excited I am about a movie or what annoyed me about a movie. It's just to balance my thoughts out and kind of give myself like like a way to explain it to someone. But I want to see enthusiasm, right? And that's the thing. It's like you can tell, like, Owen loves talking about action movies. He loves talking about movies. It's not like, oh, I'm doing my job, and critiquing this. Oh, this is a shit movie and I'm going to be above this. And I'm, that's not what happens. So it's like, it's obvious, right? Like most of these movies we do, we're going through the intricacies. It's like, I'll give it a 1, I give it a 1.5. We've never been more than 1 point off really on any of these things, right? Like it's always been sometimes, and you're in the 8 and I might be in the 7. Or John, you're in a 8.5, and Charlie would be at a 7.5. Like we're never that far off, right? Like we're obviously not going to be far off now. So,
speaking of Charlie, by the way, I meant to say this at the beginning. You may notice he's not with us tonight. Charlie unfortunately has the COVID, and he's currently down. But we'll hopefully be back in the next week or two whenever we're doing that. So get well soon, Charlie. We're all thinking about you.
Yep.
So entertainment. So. Jay.
Okay, so I'm giving enjoyment 2 out of 2. Oh my god.
0.5.
0.5. Yeah. I love everything in this movie. I can watch it anytime, all over again. I love all the sayings with Merlin. I really get pumped up for all the parts you're supposed to get pumped up for, the knighting, the ride at the end. I love that Percival comes in and all of a sudden he's this great character. I love that Mordred's like a super dick. It's like I just like, I love the idea of the philosophy and the like just like the poetry and the magic, where it's like a knight who is true would win in a battle against a knight who is false. And when Lancelot's like, we're true but not in our hearts, like we haven't done anything, but unfortunately, like I do love her, so I'm false in my heart, right? And the thing is, and that's shown by him getting injured. So it's like Gawain still is almost able to beat Lancelot, who really should have wiped the floor with him, because he wiped the floor with every knight one after another when they first met him. So I like that, where it's like, you're like, oh shit. It's like, so he kind of won because he's a true knight, but sort of, he got injured there. I love as you guys were saying, the earth stuff, because the dragon is like basically the earth and the atmosphere. So Excalibur's green. I love the hope is broken part, I like all that kind of stuff. It really gets me pumped up for the world of what's happening. And you're kind of like, oh man, like this is so cool. And I don't think people put a lot of thought into things like that anymore. I think they make movies and they get through the plot and they're like, okay, here's the story that we have to cover in this time. And they just do the story and they forget to put little cool things in. Like Arthur just pulling the sword out is actually brilliant, because for him, it is like nothing. That's the
matter
point.
of fact. Yeah.
It's just about, it's like, oh, whoa, shit, here's Excalibur. What the hell? And then I love the dad. It's like, you got to put it back. Put it back. It's like, okay. And then and I love how he puts it back. And then everyone else is like, oh. And then when he's like, oh, it's my turn. He goes like, then he's like, and he like raises it up. And you're like, okay. And then of course politics comes in. It's like, well, this legend's been around forever, but now we're going to challenge it because we don't like this kid or whatever. So it's good to know that there's still people fighting over stuff like that back then. But yeah, I love every minute of this movie. I think it's genius. I have zero negative. There's not too many movies that I do give 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I don't remember the last time we've never given anything 10 out of 10, have we?
I got pretty close. I got to 9 on Northman, and that was me being super generous just because I was pumped up for Viking stuff, because I hadn't seen anything really badass in a while.
Right.
So yeah, like I mean, like Conan's my favorite movie, so that's 10 out of 10. But like there's probably like maybe 30 movies that I would ever give like a 10. So yeah, this is one of them. So
fair enough. Yeah, I'll go for 2 for this as well. Yeah, I mean, when I watched it, I haven't watched it since last year. I mean, Ed watched it because it turned 40 last year. And I was going to write an article on it, and then I didn't. So I was like, we'll just do a live stream on it instead. So here we are. But yeah, great cast. I love the visuals, so haunting. One of the best uses of Wagner and other music as well, and Carmina Burana and everything. It's just done to perfection. It just really adds to it. I love the visual style. I like the nudity and the limbs being cut off. So yeah, 2 out of 2 for me, baby. Thrash.
Well, I'm gonna have to go 2 out of 2 just to round out the top 5. Again, one of the most entertaining films I've ever seen. One of my all-time favorites. and not just the action, although the action is outstanding. The humor. There's some scenes with Merlin and King Arthur that are actually very, very, very cute, very amusing. The scene where Parsifal knocks him into the to the device. Like, are you okay, old man? I built it, you dullard. I thought, you can actually mix in a little humor with the action, and it actually works great. You mentioned the music, by the way, the Wagner. Also, they play La Fontana 3 times. There's 3 different action sequences with that number in it, and it never gets old.
Ooh,
That's a cool trick. Also, the scene of fellowship, like remember at the end where they fought all the battles and they're coming together on the spot where they eventually will build that round table.
Yep.
And Merlin gives that great speech, savor this moment.
Mhm.
You're all one under the stars. For it is the doom of men that they forget. And that always stayed with me. I wanted to give a speech so I could end on that note. You know what I'm saying? I just think everything comes together very entertainingly. So I'm going to have to give it 2 out of 2 for entertainment purposes.
And next time you're doing a PowerPoint presentation at work, you should just end it with that, just to make it a bit more theatrical and less boring.
Do not forget this presentation is the doom of men. We can't say that because they'd say you'd have to say the doom of people that they.
Yeah, that's the thing. You wouldn't be allowed to anymore. Everyone would be offended. So,
Cancel
John.
Merlin.
It's Merlin's cancelled.
Camelot really is gone, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, John. Well, thanks for watching. Goodbye.
That's it, guys. Take care.
Okay, so seriously though, and Owen and I have talked about this numerous times. Reviews are opinions. Okay, art is in the eye of the beholder. Okay, I got shit last week because I didn't like Interceptor, the Netflix movie with Elsa Pataki. They're like, how could you not like this movie? I'm like, because I didn't, because I thought it was stupid. And I thought, she was good in it, but like it was them talking through a computer screen through half of the movie, and then there's 2-second fight scenes. And Beaver, I wanted to kill him from the very first beginning, so I think he killed it. But besides the point, yes, we're talking about Excalibur, okay? So the next person could hate this movie. Like I said, I could let my wife watch this movie, and she will not get it because she was born in 85. So there's a lot of movies that I try to get her into from the 80s and the 70s, and it just doesn't work. But Excalibur it's not just a movie. It's poetry in motion, is it not? You have the vision. Like I said, it opens up with the horses and the knights on horseback, and like I said, it looks like everything's on fire, and the performances and the music, the action, and there's just enough action, And I just love. How at the end he's like, let us have one last embrace, and then he like just shut, and he's like, wait a second, I gotta stab you with my sword, so I'm gonna go into it even more. It's like, how awesome is that? And then we talked about this in the Northman. I think I brought up Excalibur, and that's what got everybody.
I think that's what happened.
You're welcome. Oh yeah, like the ending of that movie, it made me think about the ending when he comes back and he's like, and you just see the nuns on the boat and they're playing the music. That's the only way it could end. It was the perfect ending to a perfect movie, and I love the theme of the movie. Nothing lasts forever. How wonderful Camelot was, how wonderful the idea of Arthur was. Nothing lasts forever, and it'll eventually, end. And it's a sad state. It's a sad thing, But from the visuals to the music to the battle scenes, and again, I'm biased, like I said, because like I said, I've been watching this movie since I was 9, and I finally got to see the unedited version when I was 12, maybe. So that's like, which was even better, But yeah, but some people just won't get what Borman's trying to do with this movie, and that right there, I think, makes it even cooler, because not everybody's going to get it, but it's those who do will truly appreciate the essence of the movie and what it and how it's delivering the Arthurian legend to people. And Borman did it his own way, which we don't see a lot these days. We see a whole bunch of studio interference, and there might have been some things that he didn't. Who knows? I don't know. But to me, I think that was his vision up there on the screen, and you can't go wrong with it. And it's the perfect movie, and especially if you like those types of movies, you can't go wrong with it. So yeah, it's a 2 out of 2.
Fair enough.
I got to tell you something. There was a high school thing real quick. Because I was the movie collector, so I think I had around 500 VHS movies when I was in grade 12.
Yeah,
and there's just like stoner guy and all that. And I love stoner metal. I love metal and stoner music and all that, stoner metal and heavy metal and power metal and all that. But I didn't appear as though I liked it. I was more like a horror movie guy.
yeah.
And I was going to high school. People were like, oh yeah, J-Man's got all the movies and all that. And there's this like big time, like long, he got the long hair, like fucking Iron Maiden shirt and all that. And he's sitting in the corner. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, you're a big movie guy. I was like, yeah. He's like, do you have Conan the Barbarian? I'm like, yeah, of course. And he's
On
like,
VHS.
yeah, he's like, do you have Excalibur? I'm like, yeah, of course. He's like, all right. And I was like, I got the pass. And he's like,
you're one of us.
I was like, whoa, I got the connection because he's the corner guy. He's like, who are these losers? It's like, I'm fucking talking about movies like they know what's going on. It's like, do you have Excalibur? Do you have Conan? I was like, shit, yeah. He's like, all right. I was like, yes. And it's like, I'm in. And also Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, Leatherface. The teaser trailer was the Lady of the Lake lifting up the chainsaw. Do you remember this? And it comes out and it goes in, and it's the exact, and it's actually the Excalibur Lady of the Lake thing, right? Coming out, and it's like the chainsaw goes in, and he grabs it and turns around. It's like Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
That's right.
Wow.
So here's a question for anybody. What do you think the enduring appeal is of the King Arthur legend?
I'm gonna go with like just what I was saying in my overall enjoyment. Just like what it tells you, like not like you can have the greatest thing ever and it doesn't last forever, but yet when it was there, it was probably the greatest thing on earth. And I look and the symbolism of it, the land and the king are one, and basically because it's been around for so long and it's been told through literature and song and movies, and it's just stuff like that. It's just endearing, and when it's done right, it lasts forever, and it's been done right a lot of times. Now we're talking about this one, which is probably one of the most done right versions of it. But yeah, I think so. That's why.
Yeah, and also, yeah, it harkens back to an era of like honor and chivalry and things like that, which are things which aren't really around anymore. They're sort of looked down upon almost. But I think there's that, and there's like a sense of people coming together in a community and working together. So there's that as well. There's been all kinds of like King Arthur movies. Like I said, there was First Night, which I do kind of enjoy as well. It's got Sean Connery as well, but also has Jerry Goldsmith's amazing music. Whenever the battle begins at the end and the big choral music comes on, that is awesome. And Julie Ormond, who was pretty much the love interest in every movie of the 90s. It was like her and Andy McDowell. It was like the two of them.
Right.
I quite liked First Night. And then there's King Arthur's Legend of the Two Swords or Legend of the Sword, or I can't remember what it's called, but it was one with Guy Ritchie that was a few years ago. Jude Law was in it. I remember thinking it was, but when you compare it to Excalibur, you're just like, no, that's the best. So,
I was going to say, I think with Arthur and these legends, because you can make so many different genre movies, like you can literally do, because First Night was a little bit more of the love angle. Like these legends have everything you could ever want, and you can extract the story you want to tell. Excalibur extracted a bit of everything. There's the love triangle elements, there's the honor elements, there's the round table elements, there's the magical elements. Like you can do, there's what else did I write down? Just like the themes and the poetry and all that. So you could do an entire movie just on the Merlin versus Morgan Le Fay magical stuff, right? You can have like her training Mordred, him training Arthur, and you can have that as a story. You could do just the love triangle part. So it's like every person can relate to some aspect of something in King Arthur. That's why it stays like Friday the 13th is for slasher movie fans, period, end of sentence. No one else can get anything out of that. If you don't like slasher movies, it's garbage to you. Like my wife watched Excalibur, and she may have taken some parts and she thought, oh, I like this part of the story. I like this part of the story. But because she didn't like every part of the story, to her, it was like, yeah, that was an okay movie, but I don't see why Jay's, dying over it. Whereas I liked every part of it, and that's where that comes from. And it's like people who want to see every little aspect, you got all like Excalibur's the Cole's notes or Cliff's notes or whatever you guys like. We're in Canada, so we have Cole's notes.
Yeah.
It's like it's got every part of it. Like first night, I remember thinking, wow, this is really focusing on the Richard Gere like love story angle more. It still has the nice because you can't get away from that, but it was more towards that. And then sometimes you get one where it's more action, or Merlin, the TV series. That's Merlin growing up and learning magic and stuff. So it's like now you focus on the magic part of it. So you can take whatever you want out of it. Like you can't change, like Die Hard's Die Hard. You can't take it from a different angle. Like you can't do a Die Hard from a perspective of someone who's one of the hostages. You just be like, this is just me sitting around, right? So I think that's why it endures.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, this is the most important discussion of the night. Who'd win in a fight, Gandalf versus Merlin?
Oh, Christ.
That's a hard one.
Yeah.
I think Gandalf does more
to be
damaging. Okay, so I'm a D&D guy, right?
Yeah.
So I would say Gandalf has more damaging spells. Like Merlin's spells take more out of him. He's like a Conan role-playing game. In Conan role-playing game, like False of Doom and these characters, magic takes from you. The user gets like needs more resting, whereas Gandalf seems like he knows his spells and he can just cast them, and he can do fireball, or he could do he can cast more damaging spells, whereas Merlin needs to extract more of his like life force to like do these spells. So like Gandalf could probably just fry him.
Gandalf never needed to rest 9 moons, after making somebody have sex with somebody.
The dragon's breath.
Yeah.
But how often does Gandalf fight other wizards? He fights orcs and demons and I know.
But Christopher Lee could beat anybody.
Well, yeah. Oh.
And he also has the best line ever. You have elected the way of pain. That's another one I want to say at work, but can never really say that either. And this conversation has just given me my virginity back. So there we go.
Glad to be of service.
I feel weird. Anyway, so Jay, what's the scores?
Well, I mean, I knew that's why I even asked, like, are we even doing space on this? Because it's like I was thinking, I'm at a 10.
Well,
we should have just
5.
You got a 9.5.
Yeah, we should have just talked about how awesome it was for an hour.
But
pretty much.
Actually, doing it this way does give us like something to focus on. So it does.
Yeah, you cover everything, and you can just sort of blather on. Yeah.
J-Man, I'm going to give you props though, because ever since I've had my neurological disorder, I've been using your space, and it keeps my mind organized. I'm able to do my reviews because of it. So I think awesome. I think
yeah, no problem. Yeah, that is why I did that, because people would always come to me. I was the movie guy. They'd come to me for advice, and I'd say something like, "What? Like, are you sure? Like, how is that a 6 out of 10?" I'm like, "No, 6 out of 10 is good. Like, it's a good movie. I watched it. I thought it was okay. Like, I'm tired of this internet buzz now of like it's either trash. It was trash. So out of the 2 hours that you watched, there was not one damn good thing that in this movie that happened at all. Like people are like, oh, it's a 0 out of 10 or a 1 out of 10. I'm like, what movie did you watch? Like movies should not be like, if a movie's getting 1, 2, or 3, like that's like Eternal's bad. Like that like there shouldn't be too many there shouldn't be too many of those. Like I gave Eternals like a 3 or something, right?
But you enjoyed something out of it, didn't you? There was one thing.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like it can't be a 0. Like a 0, like I mean that's really low. Like what would even be a 0? Like The Room, like but
Frankenstein versus the Men from Outer Space is better than 0.
Right, because that's a cool idea. Look, it's Frankenstein and a man from space fighting. Like, how awesome is that? It's like that's got to be at least a 3 for sure, just based on the
concept. Yeah, that's the thing.
I do a lot on really terrible movies that have a lot of merit, and that's one of them.
Actually, Thrash, I was going to ask you if you want to let everybody know what your channel is all about.
Oh, thank you. I'd love to. The funny thing, it actually started out as you've probably deduced, I'm a film buff. Sci-fi and horror, a specialty, but I love action. And it started out as a film review channel, old war movies, old science fiction, that type of thing, and I got some pretty good feedback with that. But I started doing almost as a lark. I started doing a series on the top 10 worst dad jokes in recorded history, and people ate it up. So I've actually continued the series. I'm up to about 13 or 14 now, and I've found that I've gotten a lot of good feedback on with humor. I write for an online magazine called Gamelon Magazine. Today I read an article from it. I've been doing something. I've been getting a lot of positive feedback lately. I'm taking old vintage top 40 songs that are very sort of snappy and toe-tapping and fun. And when you listen to the lyrics, they're really creepy. And I call them creepy classics.
Oh.
So basically, I'm a jack of all trades, master of all of them.
That was a great show with Bruce Campbell, but anyways.
So anyone who's watching, then subscribe to Thrash and to John at Action Flicks and to J-Man, because all good channels. And John, you've been killing it in your channel as well. You've been doing stuff all the time, make me look bad. But I since I got back from vacation, I just couldn't be arsed again. I was like, even with my job, I'm like, I was like, can't I just sleep? Like the jet lag, oh God, last week just did not want to do anything. So I did go and see Jurassic World Dominion the other night, and me and Ed were like, this movie is awesome. Why is everybody dumping all over it?
Well, that's it. My wife loved it. My wife went to see it with her friend, and they're like, because I told her, I go, it's not getting good reviews, because she loves those movies. I do
it's
too,
my favorite sequel,
but not as much as she does, you know. But she went to see it, and she's like, I loved it. I was like, well, good, okay, well, there you go.
So many people overthink movies, and the stuff they're going on about, and I'm like, it's a movie about dinosaurs. That's literally all I care about, because I'm 12 years old. Whenever I see dinosaurs, it doesn't matter. I'm just like, it's a movie with dinosaurs. I'm still waiting for a Dino Riders movie.
Oh my God, that'd be awesome.
Which I thought they were kind of going in that direction. I was like, I want to see dinosaurs with weapons on them. I mean, you might as well. That's the only thing we haven't done yet. They haven't militarized them. Unfortunately, this was the last one, but I don't know. The last one.
Is it really the last one?
After that box office, it's not going to be the one.
Zombie dinosaurs. What about zombie dinosaurs?
Yes, with weapons.
Versus dinosaurs with weapons. Yeah.
Ooh, and fight them.
Ooh. But it's funny. It's like,
I'd watch that.
But people can't sort of enjoy things anymore. I mean, there's always like a hurl abuse. It's like, fuck you for liking this or whatever else. And you're like, well, just let people like things. If
you're allowed to like things, it's okay. But if you don't agree, just be respectful and come up with why you didn't like it and have a conversation.
But I got called an incel, and I'm married.
What?
I got called an incel based on the fact that I simply said that the Reva character in Kenobi, I haven't seen the latest episode, but the Reva character in Kenobi is not very threatening or menacing to me. I wish they had given her a helmet, some kind of evil-looking helmet, or maybe some war paint, or like, it's Star Wars. You need to look, if you're a villain in Star Wars, you need to look cooler. So I haven't. This is after episode 2, and they're like, "Oh, you're just some incel," and then I respond saying, "You destroyed all my arguments. You've literally systematically killed all my arguments." It's like,
I literally unfriended somebody the other day because of it. Because we watched the first 2 episodes of Kenobi, and are like, "Oh, this isn't very good. This isn't what I was expecting from it." But then after tonight, I was like, "Oh, this is what I was expecting from it. This is awesome." But this guy, he didn't comment to me, but like we edited a check-in and commented on it, and then he did a Facebook status and saying, "Star Wars fans are the worst. All I do is complain about everything and blah 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 blah." And I was like, and he's like, "Well, you should just go back and play with your toys in the 70s." And I said, "Okay, I will. Fuck you, bye." And I deleted him. I get it. Like, Star Wars fans can be, toxic. I hate the term toxic. I'm sorry.
I hate that too,
it's such a lazy
uppity.
term.
They can be uppity.
Yeah, there we are. But it's because we love the world of Star Wars so much that we don't like whenever people screw with the lore or whatever else. But the one thing, and I will admit that I was wrong. I would say Owen was wrong about Kenobi after the first 2 episodes. Does it have its flaws? Yes. The main flaw is the music. Like, why does it not use the Star Wars music? As we were talking before we went online here, I was saying that the music to Star Wars and the music to movies is a character in itself and one of the most important characters of them. Look at Excalibur with that music. it made the movie. And so many like people don't care about the music in movies. Me, I've listened to scores since I was a kid.
Yeah, me too.
It's those scores that when you hear them, you know exactly what it's from. That's what makes them iconic.
And that's the thing. Like the music to Star Wars is quite good. You know, it's not bad.
Yeah.
So why aren't they using
Use
it?
it.
Like,
Just
Yeah,
use it.
like you have to give some. Like I don't understand. I with these. Who are these people that live in this world where every single thing is the best? It's like, I just saw this movie. It's garbage. No, it's the best. You're just a complainer. It's like, okay, so every single look, Return of the Jedi. I'm like, they reused the Death Star. I'm like, ugh. I'm like, I wish they'd come up with something different because now it's the same thing. They have to go through the center and blast it. And that's, to me, that's a small little nick on Return. Right, but Return of the Jedi is awesome. I love Return of the Jedi.
It's my favorite Star Wars film.
Right. So it's like I love Return of the Jedi. But the thing is, it's like I'm not so delusional that everything that happens. And then how are these people in real life? It's like, you know, were they walking around saying, well, everything's great in life? Oh, there's slavery. No, it's great. Slavery's fine. It's fine. I don't want to say anything negative. Don't say anything negative. It's like you have to say negative stuff. If someone delivers a garbage movie, you have to say, buddy, that was a garbage movie. Oh, you better check yourself and course correct. But that's not what happens. They just blame the fans saying, oh, you're toxic fans. It's like, maybe your thing is garbage. You need my money. I don't need your product. This is a movie. It's not bread. If I go to buy, you know, like gas now, gas prices are crazy. Well, I need gas. So I'm at the mercy of these guys. It's like, I don't need a Star Wars TV show. You need to convince me it's good so that I go buy the toys. I got a Star Wars shelf here and fucking 5 boxes of Star Wars vintage toys that are literally go up to the ceiling. It's like, you need my money. I don't need your show. So
So it better be good. Yeah.
It better be good, right? And if it's not, I'm going to complain. And look, it's Star Wars. This is what the internet was invented for, to complain about these things. This is how we meet people. I hated Mandalorian. I hated Boba Fett. So did I. We're friends.
That's how it works.
When people are like, oh, Star Wars fans complain about everything. No, The Mandalorian's awesome. That's my favorite Star Wars thing since Jedi. And then I love Rogue One. Rogue One is the best of the movies. Revenge of the Sith, I've grown to love after watching recently. And I shout out to like channels like Star Wars Theory and people like that who made me look at the prequels and the movies more deeply and sort of appreciate things more. I still can't really sit through Attack of the Clones, but the romance seems really bad. But anyway, we're kind of going off on the usual Star Wars tangent because I can't stop talking about it. It's my favorite subject, unfortunately. But I think we'll go back to like proper like old school action for the next show, and you're all invited. You Thrash, Passenger 57.
Yeah,
always bet on black.
Yeah, Wesley Snipes
before he went to jail. All right, awesome. All
right, thank you, Mystery Men and Monsters. Have a good night, you two. Hopefully, see you next time. Don't be a stranger. Come back.
Like that. Is that Phantom X as his avatar?
Let me see.
Ooh. I never know.
I can't tell. Oh, maybe not. It looks like Phantom X, who's based on Diabolic. But anyways.
So I think we'll do that maybe next week, or the week after. We'll see how things. So work has been very busy for me right now as well. Like I'm just giving up on life. But anyway, we'll probably try and do that next week. So you guys all down to do Passenger 57? You as well?
Of course.
100%.
Would you be able to do it on Wednesday, Thursday? Would you go back to your normal night?
No, I think Wednesday is a better night. We've already had more people interacting tonight than we ever do on a Friday, so I think Wednesday will just be the new night. So
count this party animal in.
If we did Excalibur on a Friday, you would have heard crickets probably.
Probably, yeah, I know. So yeah, we'll do Passenger 57 next time. I haven't watched it for a couple of years, so I'm going to give that a watch the next few days.
No, I'm going to rewatch it.
Should be a lot of fun. Yeah, so that'll be awesome. All right, well, thank you guys, and thank you for coming on, and thank you, Thrash, for joining us. And everyone, remember to go check out his channel, and J-Man as well, and John. And
it was a blast.
We'll see you
Thank
all.
you.
Oh, and great to have you as well. And we'll see you all for Passenger 57. And if you're watching, remember, you are the Action Elite.